Mustafa countered his friend's response, asking, "But could it be that this nature you speak of is itself a work of art?" Kemal shrugged. "Things just happen, Mustafa. A seed falls to the ground, it rains. These are just ordinary, sequential processes. They can be explained without needing a creator." Mustafa knew that Kemal's simple answers to these profound questions didn't truly satisfy him. "Come," Mustafa said, standing up. "Let's visit Professor Ibrahim, the physics professor. He approaches these matters with scientific depth. Perhaps you'd like to see through his window." They walked through the wide university corridors until they reached Professor Ibrahim's office. The room was surrounded by floor-to-ceiling bookshelves and chalkboards covered in complex physics formulas. Professor Ibrahim was a dignified man who smiled at them over his glasses. "Professor," Mustafa said, "Kemal and I were discussing the source of existence. He believes everything is the result of nature or coincidence. Could you explain the logical paths regarding this subject?" Professor Ibrahim invited the young men to sit at his desk. "Welcome, boys," he said in a calm voice. "To explain the existence of beings, there are 4 possible ways of thinking. No other way can be conceived. Kemal, my son, let's examine these ways together. First, that things come into being on their own. Second, that causes combine to invent them. Third, that what we call nature creates them. And fourth, that they are created by the power of a creator, the one and unique." The professor moved to the chalkboard. "Look," he said, "proving the impossibility of the first 3 ways is actually quite simple. Is it possible for hundreds of jars in a pharmacy to be knocked over by a storm and accidentally form a healing syrup? To say things form on their own means that lifeless, mindless atoms come together to establish this magnificent life, which is intellectually impossible, an absurdity." Mustafa listened to the professor's explanation with great care. Kemal interrupted, "But what about causes? When water, sun, and soil combine, doesn't a plant grow?" Professor Ibrahim smiled. "My son, can a hammer, a nail, and wood come together to build a perfect palace without a master? Causes are merely a veil. To attribute the creation of these artistic beings, which leave even the most brilliant humans in awe, to mindless, unconscious causes, is as irrational as giving each cause the attributes of a deity." The professor continued, "The third way, nature, is actually a work of art. It cannot be the artist. It is a law. It cannot be power. It is a ledger. It cannot be the author. Can the gears inside a machine be the ones that invented the machine? Nature is the name of an order created by God. It is not the founder of that order." The skeptical look on Kemal's face began to give way to deep contemplation. Professor Ibrahim turned to Mustafa and Kemal, his voice becoming more resolute. "Since beings exist, and as we have seen, reason cannot think of a way to explain the existence of beings apart from the 4 mentioned, 3 of which were each decisively proved to be invalid and absurd, then necessarily and self-evidently the way of divine unity, which is the 4th way, is proved in a conclusive manner." The professor pointed out of his office window at the vast, endless sky. "The 4th way," he said, his voice reflecting a deep reverence, "is the way shown by the verse. Is there any doubt about God, creator of the heavens and the earth? This demonstrates clearly, so that there can be no doubt or hesitation, the divinity of the necessarily existent one, and that all things issue directly from the hand of his power, and that the heavens and the earth are under his sway." Mustafa felt a profound peace settling in his heart. When they left the room, Kemal was quiet, but it was a peaceful silence. Looking at the flowers in the campus garden, he said softly, "Mustafa, just a moment ago, I thought these flowers were just nature. Now, I see a magnificent letter written upon each of them. I realize now that coincidence could never paint such a beautiful picture." Under the crimson glow of the setting sun, the 2 friends continued to walk, filled with a newfound admiration for the owner of the universe.